All right, guys, in this week's training, we're going to talk about landing pages and just some frequently asked questions. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen here. First couple things I want to talk about is the landing page best practices. Okay. So really the most important thing when you run landing pages for clients, for whether it's Google ads or Facebook ads, anything, is one, get real pictures of your clients, business, their team, their services, their products. So for example, at our agency, we use HighLevel, right? And whenever we sign up a new client, we have them log in to their HighLevel account that we manage. And we have this onboarding steps menu link. Now in here, there's a bunch of onboarding things that we do at our agency, but one of the main things is that we make them upload their pictures directly into HighLevel using the media storage. And we have a video here showing them how to do that because some people are brand new to this. And we have a link that goes to a page with examples of great photos that other clients have given us in the past. So they know exactly like what to do. Because sometimes if clients just give you random pictures, they look just crappy. So we definitely want to make sure we show them the correct way to do that. So that's one of the first things. If you're going to run landing pages for clients, you have to have good pictures. You don't want to use stock photos at all. You're not going to want to use stock photos because that is just not good. It tends to convert worse. And sometimes people use AI images and people can tell AI images, especially for like service-based businesses. So highly recommend getting your clients to get used to either sending you images, show them how. The easiest way for us is just using the HighLevel app, the online or the Lead Connector app, and we show them how to upload their images and share them with us. So that's number one. Number two that you should always have on all your landing pages is delayed pop-up forms. So we used to say exit intent pop-up forms, but now we use delay because delayed pop-ups work for desktop and mobile devices. So this is HighLevel. If you don't use HighLevel, definitely recommend it, but you can use Unbounce, Instapage, etc. So in HighLevel specifically, if you go to the pop-up settings, there's a show pop-up on delay feature right here, and we usually do 30 seconds. Again, the problem with exit intent pop-up forms is that mobile devices, they just cannot tell when someone's about to exit. So a delayed, like 30-second delay on this pop-up form is the best way to go. So definitely need those on your landing page. Those have increased conversions a lot for us. The next thing is a floating call to action. Now, some landing pages have a floating, call button or a floating top bar or floating bottom bar. Usually we have a floating call button that looks like it's floating because the background of this row is transparent. And then inside of HighLevel, you can say like, make this section sticky. So that's what we do. So this call button is there at all times on desktop and mobile. So whoever's on this page can quickly and easily call our client, and that's just the best way to get them as many phone calls as possible. So for your landing pages, highly recommend those things. Those are the best practices, at least for us. There's a million other things, but as long as you have those are just little quick tips that I highly recommend. Again, pictures, delayed pop-up forms, and a floating call to action. Okay. Now, the next thing here is what a common question I get is what are the first, like, what do you test first for landing pages? And the first few rounds depends on a couple of things. So let's go over each. So if you are testing a landing page in a new niche that you don't have any experience in, so let's say you've never ran Google ads for a plumber, right? What you can do is lander A, right? You're gonna have two. Lander A can be very different from lander B, right? You can have different colors, sections, you can put a form on the page, you can put a pop-up form. This is where you can test out bigger things because you're in an industry that you're not sure what works, and you're testing it for the first time. That's what I would do. Now, if you know somebody with templates for that industry, then go with that. But if it's like something that you've never done before, you're not sure what works, you haven't seen many people like use that or run ads there successfully, then this is what you want. Now, I have an example here. So for example, lander A, you have a template, you're not sure it works, but this is like the plumbing landing page template, right? And then for lander B, you can have something simple like this is supposed to be right here, headline, couple bullet points, a button, and then a quick review section and another button. And then that's it. And you're going to test out to see if the longer page works or the shorter page works. Once you find a general winner, then you're going to do this. Okay. You're going to do a form on page versus a click pop-up form. But let me go ahead and back up. So let's say you're testing A/B split testing in an industry that you have experience in, but you're like not 100% sure what works or what's the best, right? You're still ironing out everything. If that's the case, then the first split test we always do, if we don't know what, like we know kind of what works, but we're not 100% sure, the first one we test out is a form on page versus a click pop-up form. Now, let me show you what that looks like. So like lander A right here, you can see that lander A has a form right on the page in the hero section above the fold. And then lander B is like a pop-up, right? If they click this button right here, it'll pop up the form. Okay. So that's kind of like the first split test we do. Sometimes we do headline change first, but this is also a big popular one we do. Okay. Then after that, we can do a headline change or vice versa. You kind of interchange these. Then once we find the winner of the headline change, we do another headline change. And then after this, you kind of can go wherever you want from here. There's no really set in stone kind of test we do. You can do a different arrangement of sections. You can continue doing headline changes. You can test a different offer, different colors, different button text, CTA button text. So like, for example, instead of saying, where is it? Instead of saying, schedule your appointment today, do like, get your free quote or get your free estimate today or something like that. You can test out that instead. Now, another way to go is to change the picture of the form or the background. So for example, this picture here, you would change this picture or you would change the background image right here or both, right? And you can test out which one works better. Is it the person that works better, the picture of the actual plumber, or is it a picture of the team, or is it a picture of their trucks? Like what works best, right? And you can kind of go from there as well. So I kind of like to, again, mess around with form on page versus click pop-up forms or headline changes or form or background picture changes, or basically all of the above. So again, so far we've covered like the best landing page practices, what kind of split tests you're going to do in the first couple of rounds. Okay. Now let's talk about what happens when you do split tests for niche landing pages. Now, let's say you're an agency who only works with plumbers or roofers or landscapers, right? You're going to have a landing page template, or at least you should. And you're going to, over the years, you're going to go ahead and test out a bunch of different landing page templates and see which works first. And that's kind of what we've done, right? What you're going to do for this case, and this is what I recommend a lot of agencies do who are kind of newer or a couple of years in and are still looking to kind of refine their industry with their landing pages. What I want you to do is gather all the data from all of your landing page template variations over the past few months, years, from all your clients from all different locations, right? And you're going to put them in a spreadsheet. And so I have an example here, blurred out for privacy reasons, obviously. But what you can see here is I put all of our clients' landing pages and all of their campaign data. So let me show you the columns here. So I have our client name and their landing page URL. What template did they use? So like if you categorize your templates like A, B, C, D, E, F, etc., put that there. You can say, okay, did this landing page for this specific client that did the best, was it a pop-up form or was it the form on the page? What was the headline they used? The subheadline. If there's a subheadline, if there's bullet points, what were they? What was the button text on the button? Is there subtext on the button? Was there an icon? Was there a top bar that said like a bunch of callouts? Because some of our landing page templates have that. Was there a bottom bar with callouts and icons, right? What was the button text on the form? And was there subtext on the form button, right? These are all little landing page elements that we want to see across multiple different clients, across multiple different locations. What was on the landing page so we can kind of know what works across multiple different locations, right? So let me show you the second half of this spreadsheet. You're going to, obviously, we're analyzing each lander by headlines and sections, features, etc. And then also we're going to have on that same spreadsheet, we're going to have the campaign conversion rate, the landing page conversion rate, the mobile and desktop landing page conversion rates for those. So let me show you that. So if we continue on here, this same spreadsheet says, okay, over the lifetime of their campaign, right, what was the total ad spend? how many conversions, what was the cost per conversion, campaign conversion rate, which is different than landing page conversion rate. Okay. So this took me like a couple days to kind of put all this data on here. So what we found, right? Let me show you a little bit more like specific landing page spend. You can find all this in Google Ads, by the way. Landing page conversion rate, mobile landing page conversion rate, desktop conversion rate. Okay. So you have your overall conversion rate and then broken into devices. And then I had some notes here like date ranges, etc. Now, what you want to do is once you have all of this data, right, you want to see, okay, which one spent the most, right, which means they had the most data, and then which one had the best conversion rates for each device. Okay. So, for example, this one, the mobile landing page conversion rate of 26%. I don't think this was the highest overall, but this campaign spent the most, right, since they've been with us. So we chose this one as like the one to model our mobile landing page template off of. And then our desktop winner was here. This one spent the most in the given time frame. So we basically, what we did is we created a Frankenstein template for this industry, and we used the desktop version of this client's landing page and the mobile version of this client's landing page, and we kind of just put them together. Now, this is what I would recommend you do if you have a lot of clients in your industry for that niche, and you want to, I highly recommend you guys do this, because now what we've done after this point, once we get new clients, they all get this new Frankenstein template, and now they're off to the races. Their landing pages are doing much, much better. And that's what I highly recommend if you're going to go ahead or if you are a niche industry. Okay. Now I want to talk about like how to track what split test is winning. Okay. So if you have something like Unbounce, right, you can split test directly inside of Unbounce. So you would just click on A/B split test right here, set the weight to 50-50, and then publish your changes, right? You would change a headline, everything we just talked about. And that's super easy to do. You can do this in Instapage and other landing page builders. If you're using HighLevel, we don't use a split testing feature just because it changes the URL, and that's against the terms of the policies of Google Ads. So in this case, we use what's called Google Ads Experiments. We use Google Ads Experiments. This is an example of one of our clients. You can see right here, it says find landing page 1A and replace with 1B. And Google has this built in, and I'll show you how to do that here in a second if you've never done that before. And an example here in HighLevel is you would build a funnel. Your control is 1A, and you would change the URL using this little cogwheel. And then 1B would be slightly different based on what we talked about earlier. And you would just use the experiment to create this and change the URL of like carpet cleaning 1A, and this is carpet cleaning 1B. Now to create that, what you would want to do is go to campaigns, experiments, add variations, and then new add variation. And then what you're going to do is select your campaign. You're going to filter the URLs. So your final URL, whatever that is, the control, which would be like carpet cleaning -1A, you put that here, click continue. Then you have to put it here again, find and replace in final URL. You put the 1A URL here, and then the 1B URL here. So you're finding the control and replacing it with the 1B experiment. And then you hit continue. You give it a name, right? You want to say headline change, A/B split test. You want to make sure you change this to 84 days because that's the max amount that Google Ads can give you. And make sure this is 50% and then create variation. And then now there you go. You have your split test in Google Ads. Now, how do you determine the winner? Right, in Google Ads with experiments. What you're going to do is you're not going to go to experiments and look at the data in here. You're actually going to use the landing page report. This is way more accurate in our opinion, and experiment report is kind of finicky. It doesn't always match. We'd rather just look at this and go off of this data. So if we go to landing page reports under insights and reports, you can see, for example, last 30 days for this client. This is a relatively new client, but you can see we have lander 1A and 1B. I put a filter that says does not contain the hashtag symbol because some of our landing pages uses site links. So we don't want to look at site links. We just want to look at the final URL. And then here we can see, okay, what landing page brought in the conversions that we like. And that is how we determine a winner. After a certain amount of clicks, a certain amount of days, a certain amount of weeks, depends on the industry, but that is kind of how we want to determine a winner for landing pages. So that's pretty much it, you guys. I kind of just wanted to point that out. If you guys have any questions, let me know. But again, we have these trainings every week or every 2 weeks on our Skool community. So make sure to join if you haven't already. The link will be down below if you're watching this on YouTube. If you're watching this on Skool, definitely ask me any questions you want. Hopefully this helps a lot. I'm going to end the recording now, but thank you for watching.